According to China's Ministry of Education, there will be 11.79 million fresh university graduates in 2024, an increase of 210,000 compared to 2023. How big is 11.79 million people? It's the equivalent of Sweden's entire population. The number is a record high, and it's 5 million more than 14 years ago. So many graduates will swarm into the job market this July, yet China's job market already has a 20% youth unemployment rate. Not only that, China's job market still has graduates from the past 2 years who have yet to find a job. Before the market absorbs the older graduates, new graduates are coming like a growing snowball. At present, China's economic environment and job market are in a bitter winter, with foreign capital fleeing the country and declining real estate industry. In an era when large factories are doing massive layoffs and even central and state-owned enterprises are tightening their belts, the CCP government is having a hard time coping with the 11.79 million fresh graduates that are coming. The employment rate of Beijing's job market is now 1 to 100,000. That is, you have to compete with 100,000 people for a comfortable office job where you sit around cozy. More than 10 million graduates from last year have yet to find jobs. This year, there are over 10 million more. 40 million people in the same year compete for jobs. I am conservative in the number. Before we dive into the main content, let us introduce a remarkable natural product from Jeju Island, Korea, a tea brand that epitomizes the essence of pure nature, Wild Orchard. In New York, you can only enjoy a cup of Wild Orchard tea priced at $22 at Michelin-starred restaurants. The stringent standards of Michelin restaurants for ingredients and beverages underscore the premium quality and taste of Wild Orchard. Wild Orchard practices a nature thrives itself philosophy, just like the ancient Chinese Taoist text says, being in harmony with nature. The tea garden is designed with a near-natural concept, creating an ecological haven where multiple species coexist harmoniously. Throughout the tea plant's growth, no pesticides, fertilizers, or chemicals are used. Irrigation is done using rainwater, and pest and weed control are entirely managed by the ecosystem. This eco-friendly production method, combined with Jeju Island's excellent ecological environment, results in Wild Orchard's uniquely natural and delicious tea leaves. As a testament to its commitment, Wild Orchard is the first tea brand to receive Regenerative Organic Certification, or ROC, which surpasses the USDA organic certification standards with a more multidimensional and profound definition of organic. Moreover, Wild Orchard is the true Grand Slam winner in the tea industry, having won numerous prestigious awards, including the 2024 World Tea Expo Beverage Challenge in the USA, the 2022 Leafies, and the 2022 Great Taste Awards in the UK. These accolades from top international competitions further validate the exceptional quality and sophisticated taste of Wild Orchard. Now, you can purchase the entire range of Wild Orchard products online, including After Rain Early Harvest Green Tea, and Tea Powder of Matcha Black, etc. Enjoy Michelin-star beverages at home and take advantage of our special discount code available through China Insights channel. Click the top link in the video description or comments to purchase. Now, let's get back to our main topic. The graduates of 2024 seem to be in a particularly difficult situation, and it's really hard for them to find a job. A few days ago, my store manager resigned, and I was looking for a replacement. I posted the job on a recruitment software. In less than 2 hours, there were more than 100 people who sent me private messages. All of them are fresh graduates, some from vocational schools, some college graduates, some from universities of second tier, and some from first tier universities. I was very curious. I said, "You are a fresh graduate. You graduated this year. Shouldn't you look for a good company to work for? It's a waste for you to come to my flower shop to work because it's something anyone can do and requires no academic qualifications. If you have worked for a few years, you want to come to learn about flowers, to open your own flower shop, or you enjoy it as a hobby, you can come here to work, and I can understand. But as a fresh graduate, I think it's a bit of a waste for you to come and work in my flower shop." As a result, they told me that they didn't want to apply for a job in a flower shop, and they didn't want to work in a flower shop either, but they had no choice. It's really hard to find a job nowadays. They have submitted countless resumes, but basically no one reads them. They have gone to interviews, but they are unsuccessful time and again. They are very helpless and sad. Today, a young lady came for an interview. She lives in a youth hostel, which costs 20 yuan a night. She has been looking for a job everywhere. I chatted with her. She is a university graduate. I felt a little heartbroken because I think we have studied hard for more than 10 years, and then we can't even find a decent job. I felt really sad and depressed.
我觉得真的好难受，好难受。
天呐，刚刚在网上看到说
Gosh, I just read online that more than 10 million college graduates will be entering the labor force next month, and it suddenly occurred to me that my resignation last month might be a foolish decision. Of course, it was because of my health that I can no longer continue, but looking at the current employment environment, it's worrisome. I really feel it's even worse than it was in 2022 when I first graduated. This year, I saw that they said the entry salary for college graduates was $412 per month. That was last year's price. This year it's $344, and I was like, my gosh, that's crazy. What year is it? It's 2024. How can our wages, our graduates' wages, go down to this level when prices are going up and up? Imagine if I made this kind of salary when I first graduated, I wouldn't even be able to pay the rent. I lived in the cheapest place in Shanghai. I probably wouldn't be able to pay for my own cost of living with the money I make. So I really think that young people nowadays are walking on thin ice when they think about tomorrow and the future. Nowadays, many delivery boys, couriers, and security guards are getting younger and younger. So in fact, many young people have already started to drop their so-called academic pride, so it can be seen how difficult it is to find a suitable job. I have a friend who graduated this year, and I asked him a couple of days ago because he hadn't finished his thesis yet. I said, "What kind of job are you going to look for?" He said with a desperate look on his face, "We'll talk about it later. Let's find a job first. It's just that everyone is lost because there are so few choices." The National Bureau of Statistics of China announced the youth unemployment rate in 2023 as 17.3% in January, 18.1% in February, 19.6% in March, 20.4% in April, and 20.8% in May. So it has been steadily rising. In the same time frame, the youth unemployment rate in the US was 7.5%. By June, when the youth unemployment rate reached an unprecedented 21.3%, the Statistics Bureau suddenly announced that it would no longer publish the youth unemployment rate. The excuse was that the economy and society were constantly developing and changing, and the original statistical method was outdated and had to be re-optimized. In the end, it took 7 months before the data was released again in January 2024. By then, the youth unemployment rate had become 14.9%. The reason why the number dropped is that the new method excludes students that are still studying, although according to the old formula, school students weren't included anyway. Why? Most people don't realize that in China it is really hard to be counted as unemployed. To calculate the unemployment rate is to have the number of unemployed divided by the total number of employed and unemployed. Then who are considered unemployed? According to the official definition, the unemployed status is defined as people aged 16 and above who are unemployed but have been actively looking for a job within the last 3 months, excluding these situations. For example, if you are starting a job within 2 weeks, or if you want to live with your parents and voluntarily not work, or if you are lying flat and don't want to work, or you have looked for jobs before but have given up, that is, you aren't looking for jobs right now. All those cases aren't considered to be unemployed. So how does the government compile statistics on the employed population? According to the official definition, the employed population is defined as people aged 16 and above who have worked for at least 1 hour during the survey participation period, usually the week before the survey, to obtain labor compensation or business income. In other words, you only need to work 1 hour a week to be considered employed. So you are now employed if you have live streamed 1 hour on Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok, and received 50 cents in tips. Not only that, the statistics of fresh graduates' employment are also falsified. In order to increase the employment rate, many Chinese colleges and universities will use a mixture of deceit and coercion or soft and hard tactics, forcing the students who are about to graduate to sign a registration form for flexible employment. Since those who can't find a regular job can open an account on Douyin or similar platforms and claim to be a self-media person, it's counted as flexible employment. As long as a student signs a flexible employment registration form, he is counted employed statistically. Many students have to sign such a form under the pressure of obtaining their graduation certificates. One of the biggest distortions in the National Bureau of Statistics unemployment rate is that it doesn't count the rural population. Only the urban population is included in the statistics. By the end of 2022, the total urban youth population aged 16 to 24 was 96 million. However, the total population of the same age group in China is about 200 million, which means there are 110 million rural youths who aren't included in the statistics. That is to say, the unemployment rate of rural youths is definitely higher than that of urban youths. So what's the actual youth unemployment rate in China? No one knows for sure. According to Peking University professor Zhang Dandan's estimate, it's around 46.5%. But that's not all, because he only included the 16 million people who are lying flat, not working and relying on their parents as unemployed. He still hasn't taken into account the rural population and the flexible employment rate falsified by colleges and universities. Therefore, the actual youth unemployment rate in China can be over 50%.
2年前我是211本科
2 years ago, I was a 211 university student. 2 years later, I am jobless. I have been staying at home for almost 2 years. Today, I want to tell you about the detours I've taken over the years. In the second half of my third year at university, I came into contact with the spring recruitment event. I put together a one-page resume based on the information online and sent it out. I applied to big-name companies and then got no reply. I think that it's only right that they didn't accept me. While others wrote about various prizes won from competitions and internships in large factories, I wrote that I sold toilet paper in a park in the middle of summer when it was more than 30 degrees Celsius and managed to make $200. That was the most anxious time of my life. I researched every day for interview tips and memorized the standard answers they gave me. But I was told that it was too obvious that I was memorizing and that I should speak naturally from my own experience, that I should chat with them. But once I started chatting, I was told that I had a low EQ. So I was nervous and scared of the messages that popped up in this recruitment software. To improve my EQ and to make myself more cunning, I spent $800 to enroll in an EQ course. And then I got my first interview. I was really happy, although it wasn't a big company. I found a lot of information, its corporate culture, the main business, everything I could find, and memorized it because they said that this was to show that you were sincere. I thought it made sense, so I memorized it. At that time, the interviewer looked a bit shocked, but I still got a letter of rejection a day later. I cried for a long time. I finally realized that I was a very mediocre person. It was a tough place to be when looking for jobs. At that time, I had only one thought. No matter what company it was, no matter what position it was, I would accept. I needed a chance to prove myself, to prove that it wasn't that bad. At that time, I was so obsessed with myself that I even began to regret why I had to attend classes in my freshman and sophomore years because everyone else was skipping classes for internships. Even if you finished your homework, could you put it on your resume? No.
GPA 那才占多大点第一个方向，对吧？
大学生本科毕业出来找工作。
A university student who graduated with a bachelor's degree was looking for jobs. He almost starved to death when he couldn't find a job. This was my situation last year. This year, the situation isn't optimistic. I have become a joke. Why? Because every day you say in Douyin that your monthly salary is 2,500 yuan. 2,500, but I know that your salary isn't 2,500. You are speaking about it like a joke, but my real salary is 2,500. I am not joking, but I have become a joke in your eyes. Everyone is kidding about 2,500. I am the person who makes 2,500 a month.
我就是那个2500。
Not only are university students unable to find jobs, but there is also a serious oversupply of master's and doctoral graduates, according to China's Ministry of Education. In 2021, graduate enrollment was 1,176,500, an increase of 70,000 over the previous year, an increase of 6.32%. In 2022, graduate enrollment was 1,242,500, an increase of 66,000 over the previous year, an increase of 5.61%, and in 2023, a total of 1,317,000 graduate students were enrolled nationwide, an increase of 4.76% over the previous year. In 2024, the number of master's and doctoral graduates will reach 1,125,900, compared with the US, where there were only 52,250 doctoral degree recipients in 2021. China has become the world's largest producer of doctoral and master's degrees. Masters and PhDs are trained for academic purposes, and the prevalence of high-end enterprises and institutions in China isn't that many. In the past, China exported a lot of top-notch talents to the world, but in terms of high technology, China's cooperation with European and American countries has been reduced, and the European and American countries have withdrawn from the Chinese market. The majority of these talents who used to work in these multinational enterprises now have no way out. China's own high-tech research and development industry isn't strong to begin with. After Europe and the US decouple with China, their prospects have become very limited. In recent years, as China's economy has declined, the authorities have encouraged unemployed young people to continue their studies in universities to ease the pressure on youth unemployment, believing that this is a way of life. The government has continued to backtrack on the issue, resulting in a serious surplus of students with master's and doctoral degrees. This could turn into a big problem for the social stability in the future. To tell you the brutal truth, now college graduates can't find jobs. It's not because they don't have enough qualifications, but what they have learned at school has no real application or relevance in society and businesses. Universities have to be responsible for jobless graduates because they haven't developed students to be employable. In other words, a lot of things learned in university are useless. They aren't useful in the enterprise and society. In the end, students find themselves unemployed after graduation, and the schools blame all the difficulties in employment on inadequate academic qualifications. So now we are beginning to compete for academic qualifications. But those who have obtained the higher degrees, they find out that it isn't the case. Enterprises still don't want them. Society doesn't want them either. They are trapped in academic fraud. You will find that during the 4 years of university, there is always a voice telling everyone that academic qualifications are most important. Yes, it's indeed important, but no one has told you that the ultimate goal of getting academic credentials is to get jobs. No one has told you that what you have learned at school isn't what the enterprises need. No one tells you that. If you are for the job, you need to do more preparation while at the university. You have to learn more things, learn about the job market, the business needs. You have to check positions that match your major. The reality is, everyone tells you to go to graduate school. So now, many students simply don't know why they go to graduate school, or what's the purpose of the graduate study. In fact, the purpose of graduate school is also for employment. Nowadays, there are still a lot of masters who can't find a job. Is it because they don't have enough academic credentials? No, they simply haven't learned what society and enterprises need. It's the common experience of college graduates. Once you finish the university years, you will feel you have learned nothing. You have no clue what to do in the future with the stuff you have learned at school. You don't even know the use of your own major. When you first enter the university, someone tells you, "Don't worry, you are just a freshman, you are laying a foundation. You only need some professional courses." When you are in second year, you will learn what your major is, but when you get to the second year, you will find that the major you have learned is out of touch with reality. You have no clue how the stuff you learn is going to help you in life. At this time, a bunch of rotten eggs will tell you, "Don't worry, you are just a sophomore. Your study in the third year will be more in-depth. In the end, even though you are in your third year, what you have learned simply doesn't give you the competence to work independently in the enterprise." At this time, someone will advise you, it's all because you don't have enough academic credentials and you have to go to graduate school. This bunch of people will say all employment difficulties are due to the lack of academic qualifications, and more people will believe them and join the tide of graduate students. In your fourth year of college, you will find that your teachers are only concerned about one thing. That is to rush you to get an employment offer using whatever means to increase the employment number. For the sake of good numbers, no one cares about the actual development of the student. Everyone tells you to have as many academic credentials as possible. Everyone advises parents to make sure their children upgrade their education. But no one is here to remind us that some of the universities have problems and need to be corrected. I think it's sad. If this status quo doesn't get alleviated in the short term, please, all students and parents, we have to wake up, do our own career planning, and understand the professional direction, the direction of employment as well as the direction of society, and the needs of enterprises. Don't go with the flow. Everything needs to be done in advance and make careful arrangements.
都需要做好缜密的安排。